Share screen lang ako. Right. So, kita ba? Yeah. So, yan.
Yes.
All right. So, my topic is Svelte with Inertia.js. Actually, Inertia lang siya. So, I'm Joe. I currently work as a UI developer. Co-founder ako sa SvelteSoft. And prior to Svelte with Dave, I was with Laravel PH. Before that, or during ngayon din, I'm also part of React.js PH, just as a board member lang. So, yun yung background ko kung bakit ako na pasok sa Svelte. Actually, na-realize ko kasi yung Svelte, simpler siya than React in the sense na you don't need to learn JSX. You don't need to learn new terminology like Redux or other things na specific to React, like, of course, yung VDOM. So, nung nakita ko itong Svelte, tinry ko kaagad siya. Then, actually, part ako ng Svelte Society and we did explore this before. Nagandahan ako, basically. Super simple lang aralin compared sa yung sa React where you have to study all the different types of yung VDOM, virtual DOM, and you have to add more tooling basically to make it something, yung dev experience niya, sobrang kailangan pang install ng tools. In short, godfather of tech meetups. So, paano godfather? Wala lang, marami akong tech meetups. Tech meetup communities na dito join. Alright, so what is Inertia? So, basically, Inertia is a way to build single-page apps. So, this might seem different from PWA, but actually, di ba, PWA does not have to be a single-page app. So, bakit Inertia? You don't need to use an API or you don't need to create an API sa app mo. So, let's say you have a monolith na, let's say, using Laravel, you could easily use Inertia, or let's say you want a spa-like experience where hindi nag-flicker yung page, pero you want to develop it within the app without having to create another code base for the front end and then have to create an API naman na code base for you to fetch the data from the backend. So instead of that complexity, you would use Inertia if you're a full stack developer and you don't want to maintain two different code bases, basically. Or if you think that you just want your code or you just want the experience to be where it's still a page-by-page thing, but lighter on resources. So, explain ko later why mas lighter siya on resources rather than going full front-end spa. So basically, Inertia is a way to build modern monolith apps with a spa-like experience, basically. Yun yung basic niya. So, sinong gumawa ng Inertia.js? So, this guy, Jonathan Reinick, he started to create Inertia.js a couple of years back. So, he wrote some articles on his blog regarding Inertia.js and his philosophy about it. I highly encourage everyone to check out his articles. So, actually, based dito yung materials ko. And just to explain how Inertia.js works under the hood. So, paano siya gumagana na it's still a monolith pero parang may pagka single page app yung feel. So, basically, yung page mo still has all the JavaScript and the components. And on initial page load, may parang template lang siya, which is basically yung template na yon, yun yung initial na HTML code ng app. Main difference lang is that instead of yung kurari in Laravel, you render the entire blade or PHP template as an HTML. Yung HTML niya, yung div app root niya, yun lang yung i-display ni Blade. The rest will come from Inertia.js, which is going to load the specific JavaScript component related to that page. So, explain ko siguro later on. May file structure kasi siya, which I can share later. So, yung initial page load, yun nga, lahat ng components naka-load. And then the succeeding requests, ang gagawin na lang niya is, di ba, naka-load na yung HTML. So all it has to do is load the JS components and data or props that are related to that particular page. So, hinighlight ko dito yung hinighlight ko dito yung request na basically when the person navigates to, let's say, a different page, magkakaroon siya na additional request here, pero that is actually a XHR request or AJAX request. And it will just ask for basically yung components and the data for that page, and it will load that. Kung ano lang yung kailangan for that particular page. So, ang kagandahan niya is unlike a monolith app where you would have to load the whole page again and then may parang page flicker. Here, medyo smooth, mas hindi mo mapapansin na yung app mo pala is using yun nga, mga JavaScript components, and much faster yung loading time niya for succeeding requests. So, to explain further kung paano niya ginagawa yon in code, based sa blog niya, sinasabi niya na basically, he checks for the header called X-inertia header. So, pag nalaman niya na, for example, nag-click ka sa link, it will look for, every time you click on na inertia link, basically, may ina-attach siya na X-inertia na header. And yung ginawa niya sa framework niya, sa inertia, is it will look for or it will detect if there is a header in the backend that X inertia is present. If so, it will return a response in JSON format ng component and the props, as well as the URL. So, importante yung URL na rin kasi what the Inertia.js does as well is it adds it to the push state, the browser push state, or the history push state. And this allows you to actually do redirects. So you could, for example, change the response to 300 or redirect, and Inertia will basically reply with or redirect the user basically, and it will feel like it's just the same as if you're working on a without the JavaScript components of your single page application. So ito yung under the hood niya. Pero actually, this is hidden. Ito yung initial niya prototype. But after he created the helpers for depending on your library, for example, like for in this case Laravel, you don't call this anymore. You just call a inertia render instead of viewMake. So ganun siya nag-work. So how to set it up? So basically, there are two sides of the coin to set up. First is the backend layer. So you need to add this particular package, Inertia.js, Inertia-Laravel. So it's a set of helpers that basically provide some middleware as well that will basically handle all the inertia requests. So then you have to add this front end code to your Laravel Blade to your Laravel project. So it goes to your Blade layouts in app.blade.php. And kung makikita niyo dito, it's similar to Laravel Blade layout except nag-iba dito yung body, naka at inertia na lang siya. So why at inertia? Basically, at inertia is going to render a div na may root app ID basically. So para siyang I think similar siya sa, let's say, if you do normal Vue.js apps where meron kang parang app root. So basically, shortcut siya for the div app root where you will place where all the components will render. So similar to React, diba, may root app component ka where you can choose to render the React app in that particular div. So parang shortcut siya for that. And after you're done with that, you set up the client side. So on the client side, you basically just need this Inertia Svelte. So Inertia comes, or there are several adapters for Inertia. So one of it is Svelte. There are also React and Vue. So basically Vue is one of the most popular adapter for Inertia. But they all do the same thing. Basically, it will render the components in that particular at inertia tag in the Blade template. And what's good about inertia is you can actually port it, or you can create your own adapters for different frameworks. So let's say jQuery, although I haven't seen that, jQuery or Backbone. It's possible to do that because you just have to call yung inertia render or yung inertia library code to be able to render components for your particular choice of framework. Then you add this for the Svelte. So let's move on. To make the Svelte work, of course, it's not just you install the package. You have to use the package. So as you can see here, in Svelte, you just import it. So Inertia app. So once you import it, you use Inertia app and you instantiate the Inertia app and create etong parang configurations niya. So yung target is the app, which is the whichever document selector you want to render it in. So usually yun yung sa Inertia on the back end, yun yung ID with the app. So CSS, the element with the ID app. And yung props niya is ito, basically on the initial page, this is the data that will come with the basically with the request. So sinasabi mo lang dito, load the data from the app.dataset.page. So this is automatic. This comes from your response for that particular page. And dito naman sa resolve component, basically it's trying to load yung particular Svelte component or Svelte page component, which is for that particular page. So kung yung name nung page is home, automatic hahanapin niya home.svelte. So it tries to resolve that, and it uses the dynamic component of Vue.js, of Svelte in this case. So kasi yung Vue yung pinakasikat na version ng Inertia. So basically, this is how your Inertia Laravel code base would look like. This is inside the Laravel resources folder. So unlike yun nga yung nakahiwalay pa, ipagsasama mo na lang yung codes mo. This might look familiar to Zapper users. So sa Zapper kasi, per page you have your index page and Svelte page or index component or whatever component, and each route corresponds to a Svelte component. So pinapakita ko lang dito yung itsura ng JS folder where you have pages, which is actually also components, and you have shared components, which is going to be used in your Svelte app. So one thing to note here is it's all just components. So pages are components. You can create the page component, and each page has to have its own controller and corresponding JavaScript component. So basically, Inertia will look for the particular view or the Svelte view for that particular page in your controller, and try to match it. If it doesn't find it, mag-error siya, syempre. So pages are components, and if you need a layout, you can create another component na layout, and that layout could be something like this. So you would put it all there, and here you can see na nakaslot yung between the article yung kung saan papasok yung data or yung other components. So just create the slot markup, and dyan magre-render yung itong Svelte component na tinatawag mo or Svelte page. So one thing to note here is yung A use inertia link. So basically, these links are not ordinary links lang. They will actually, ito yung sinasabi kong way to add the, basically Inertia wants to intercept all your requests. So every link should have a use inertia so that it will not make a full page request. Rather, it will make a request for the particular component for that particular page and the data for that page. So, ganun siya nag-work. Ganun lang kasimple siya. So, let's check out a demo, or rather how the code looks like on a actual, on an actual code base. So I have here my Ping CRM demo, which is actually official siya. I just downloaded it. And basically, you can see all the code organization is the same as we've discussed. So within your JS, you have different pages. So you could have hot login pages, which is a component. And you could also check na itong particular page also has a controller, which is here. So auth login. So ka-correspond nung Laravel controller, yung backend, yung page niya dun sa harap, sa Inertia, sa Svelte components mo within this Laravel project. So it's all basic Laravel, and then you have the show login form. And as discussed, ito yung way to render the Inertia or Inertia.js page. So instead of view make in Laravel, which will render the entire blade for that particular page, we use Inertia render, which will look for basically the component auth/login, which is inside the auth login spell. So ganun lang siya parang naglo-load ng actual page. And if you look into the views folder here in the Laravel project, so for the time views, up that blade, yeah. Ito lang actually, kaisa-isa lang siya na view sa Blade, sa Laravel project. And it just loads the @inertia. It uses the @inertia tag to be able to load all the pages that are actually coming from your Svelte components. There are other things here na might be related to loading the inertia polyfill, for example. This polyfill is more of making sure na yung mga features ng inertia would be loaded into this particular app. So it's a good practice to add this in as well. Just in case for the browser that you're using doesn't have yung particular features for inertia. So one thing that it loads is smooth scroll, promise, object values. So mga things na kasi inertia will use plain JavaScript. Okay, so basically yan yung ganun lang siya mag-work. Ganun lang yung Svelte and inertia. Back to the slides. So yun, thank you. Actually, very short talaga kasi lightning talk. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so here. I highly recommend this Svelte PWA now. To be clear, yung Inertia.js might not be a PWA at first, but as you know, as PWA does not have to be as SPA. You can actually just add the manifest JSON, the service worker, which helps for offline support, and basically you have a PWA app. So it's a matter of adding those additional attributes to the page so that it becomes a PWA or something that you can download and install as a PWA, as a parang native app technically. Pero it's a web app on the phone, on your Android. So, yun lang. Hope may natutunan kayo and yeah, basically yun yung talk ko. Thank you.
Ayan, thank you, Sergio. Wala sa masyadong questions. Pero I guess marami silang natutunan tonight. Definitely, sobrang jam-packed nung like ilang oras ang dami natutunan. Mag-GraphQL, mag-Svelte, mag-Inertia, grabe. So, and ulit, no, siguro introduce po nila ulit yung Svelte Society. Baka gusto nila mas matuto pa ng deeper dive or need help nila along the way. So, like, saan po nila kayo matatagpuan?
Yeah. So, for Svelte Society, we have, yun nga, sa ating Svelte Philippines. So, ito yung page natin. And may group din. So, just look for our group. It's Svelte Society PH. It's here, Svelte Society. Yeah, basically, yun pa lang. Do we have Discord or wala pa? Wala pa ang Discord, no? Yeah.
Meron niya pa eh.
Yeah. So, just check out our group na lang and it's private pa rin. We need to make this public pala. Pero basically, yan, this is our group. Just look for it. And yeah, we'll see you guys in Hacktoberfest, I hope. We'll promote Hacktoberfest for October.
And soon, di ba po, meron parang Svelte na conf online?
Oh yeah.
Baka interested din yung iba. Nakita ko lang. Hanap ako ng logos.
Yeah, so let's look. I think there's a conference nasa Svelte, ano ba? Svelte.js. I'm not.
Hindi pa yata nila announced.
Nasa society yata kasi.
Ayan, Svelte Society Day, pero that was a couple of months ago. Ayan, October 18 daw. So, Svelte Society, October 18. Just follow their Twitter, Svelte Society Twitter handle. And yun, basically, yan yung upcoming nila on October 18. It's just a summit, virtual summit, and it's free. So, join na kayo. SvelteSummit.com. Yun siya.
May nagtatanong kung may membership fee daw ba yung Svelte Society?
Society kasi, no? Wala pa. Pero gandang racket to kung if ever na. Pero yeah, wala. Free. Wala lang tanong.
Wala na daw. Ayun. Okay. So, may ipa-plug pa po ba kayong iba before na tayo mag-close? Ay, may tanong pala. So, ano po ba yung current trends sa web platform?
Current trends sa web platform. Actually, aside from Svelte, nagsa-start na yung WebAssembly. So, may possibility na you need to learn WebAssembly. Basically, WebAssembly is parang pinaka-building block ng components. Tama.
At saka pre yung ano pala, yung ito. Yung support ni Svelte sa web components.
Yeah.
Maganda yung support niya sa web components.
Yeah, web components is basically parang you can create components without a framework, or rather built-in na siya within your JavaScript. So, ito siya, custom element, shadow DOM, HTML template. So, your idea is built-in na within the browser, and maybe in the future, kung simple lang yung page mo and you don't really need a framework, you can start with this. Yun yung mga trends ngayon. Aside from AR, VR, nagkakaroon na ng push on that 3D, basically. So, WebGL, 3D, parang gano'n. So, in the future pa yun. Pero sa ngayon, HTML pa rin tayo for a long time. Ayan siya. Nice. So, 3D, ganyan magiging itsura ng mga pages. And maybe may gadget where basically may immerse ka na sa ganyan. Meron pang I think PWA store or something. Yeah, where you can find other PWA interesting PWA apps. So check it out. Actually, isa sa mga cool things about PWA is anywhere na may browser, pati mobile mo, gagana yung PWA, and here are a few PWA stuff. Ito kasi parang, may isa pa yun na mas maganda pa dito.
So, speaking of that pala, meron kaming ginagawa under the hood na directory for web apps or for PWA. So, soon, baka either December or January namin i-launch. Ayun.
Ooh.
So,
nice.
Ayun.
Alright. Hindi ko mahanap yung isa pa, pero yeah. it's an interesting site eh. Parang pwa.dev, parang gano'n. Pwede ba mag-promote ng non-Svelte, non-PWA?
Sige mo, any
Okay.
event.
Hindi siya event, pero website ko,
Okay.
kala ko tong gawing used to use Svelte. Inuman app is a portal for your inuman needs. So, lahat ng ordering na stores where you can order beer or wine, nandyan, and some events that you can, or some things that you can do during an inuman, nandyan. Yeah, I plan to create this kasi as a Svelte component where you can sign up and easily find other kainumans. So, kung may interested, I'll publish the source and let's try to make it a Svelte PWA thingy.
Maganda yan
Yan
sa
na.
Oktoberfest. Baka may gustong
Oo nga eh.
contribute.
Yan yung actually, yun yung bala ko. And Oktoberfest na. So, inuman, di ba? So saktong-sakto. So, yeah, actually, kaya ako siya talaga kinuha kagad yung domain. Sabi ko, wala pang inuman talaga. Hindi pa ganun kasikat si inuman. And pro-promote natin yan. Inuman na trend. Yeah. How about, Dave, baka may mga apps ka dyan na gusto i-share na projects?
Actually, ginagamit ko si Svelte sa mga government naman. May project ako sa government. So, Svelte is taking over the government. Yeah. Sa mga barangay level pa lang, pero later on pupush natin dyan.
Nice.
Sa multi-sys, may ginagawa rin ako na Svelte.js. Diyan. Mga backend panels. Siguro, pag nakapag full time na ako sa kanila, doon ko na isasuggest talaga na mag-Svelte na sila. Pero mostly kasi ang gamit nila React.js. Yan lang siguro.
So,